I'm starting university in a few months' time, and I decided that using my laptop's small screen for a very long amount of time was going to get tiring on the eyes. So I thought to myself, why don't I get an external monitor? I looked it up and they were really expensive, so I decided to make my own. I decided to make an iMac one, so the first thing I did is I went on eBay and I typed in iMac screens, and they were really expensive, but I actually ended up finding one for 99p on auction. I bid for it, and a few days later I actually won it. This arrived about 4 or 5 days later after that in the post. Here I could turn it over, look at the model number, and then search up on eBay for a controller board. I wanted to get a high quality controller board because this is kind of the powerhouse of everything. It controls everything you want, so I wanted to make sure that it had an HDMI input or a VGA input. This one actually had a VGA input, but it worked really, really well. And it also had a CPU cooler fin because I was really worried about it overheating. What's left to buy is the bodywork components and the electronic components. I went on eBay again and I found a really reasonably priced aluminium case for the iMac. I purchased that and I made sure that this came with a stand because that's fairly important. And I did have to gut all of the leftover electronics. Another component that I needed to buy for the bodywork was the glass. These are fairly cheap as well because glass breaks a lot, so there's a big market out there. So I just went on a well-reviewed one and purchased theirs. What's left to buy is the electronics. It was a lot of cables. I needed a small bit of wire for some soldering I was going to do later on in the video, and I also needed a VGA to HDMI cable, and I needed a USB cable. Yes. Right, here we are. You can see I have the controller board. I'm testing it out. I mounted this on the back of the LCD panel with its little circuit board with buttons on and the power cable. This was really good. It was a really good idea. It actually came with these little rubber things that I hot glued straight on, and I just put down some electrical tape to hopefully reduce the risk of it short circuiting. I was really happy with this, but the one thing I didn't like is the little button board. So that's where that bit of wire comes in handy. I actually used it to solder the existing Apple official button onto the little button that turns it on and off. This was fairly simple. As you can see, it's just 2 black cables that I soldered directly onto it, and it worked really well. In the next clip you can see me testing it out. Here I am testing out and you can see the light turns on, and I click it again and the light turns off. So that meant I could leave all of that inside of it. Here I have offered up the LCD and placed it in place, testing the power button. It's not receiving any signal here, but it's just proving that it does work, and it just made it seem way more professional, and I'm really happy that I took this step. Once everything's up and running, I plugged in all my cables, everything it needed, and I routed it out the back, and then I just tested it out. Here it is, it's working perfectly. I was really surprised at the quality of the screen. I mean, it cost me £1. It was really, really good. So, oh yes, here is a really good step that I took. I actually wired up the included iSight, which is just the camera it comes with. I wired it up to the USB cable. You can follow those colours, it worked really well. Here I am, I'm just testing the screen again and all the components. You could have seen just then there's lots of fingerprints on it, so I used some isopropyl alcohol to get rid of that. Here's a shot of what I used, and once I did that I offered up the glass. The glass is really satisfying, not only because you get to peel it off like this and it sounds really lovely, but also when you offer it up, the magnets on the LCD just clip it on. So there you have it. That's how I made this screen. I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. It was really cheap to do, and it's given me a massive screen that I'm going to be able to use when I go to university. It's simply you just plug it in. I actually hooked up a Bluetooth keyboard and a Bluetooth mouse. So yeah, I just plug in the HDMI cable into my laptop and I use that. I am really, really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.